out of the air by doing so. So now we're going to talk a little bit about China. China is an amazing place. We're going next week. I've been going on average 1 week a month for about a year now. There are about 11 cities in the United States that have more than 1 million people in it. In China, there are more than 100 cities with more than 1 million people in them. In China, there are a lot of cars right now. When you go there, the cars and the streets are very crowded in the city. It is predicted by 2020, for every one car that they currently have in China, there will be 15. The urbanization that is happening in China right now is the largest migration of human beings in the world's history. And these individuals are moving into the cities, and as they move from rural areas into urban areas, the amount of energy per person that is consumed will increase by roughly 250%. It's the world's biggest construction market right now. The projects that are underway right now exceed $110 billion. Here's the effect I was mentioning just a few minutes ago. This graph shows what has happened in population and millions of people in China in rural areas in 1994-95. Actually, a little bit before that. In roughly 1990, the population in rural areas of China began to drop. And since the 1950s, the population in urban areas has begun to increase quite dramatically. By the year 2015, there will be roughly as many people in China living in cities as there are in the country. And the change from 2000 to 2030 is more than doubling the amount of people in China living in cities. So all of those individuals, again, for every one of them, will be using 250% more power. Some of the predictions that are coming out in recent reports is that there will be a decline in China's wheat, their rice, and their corn, and by the second half of the century there will be a 37% decline. So with this huge increase in population, this huge urbanization of China, there will be a decrease in the amount of food available to them. Going back to that issue of sea level rise and the debate over whether we're looking at a 1 meter sea level rise versus a 6 meter. If there were only a 1 meter sea level rise, it would submerge an area in China the size of Portugal. This would put half of the population of China underwater, and it would destroy 60% of China's economic output. So when you start to think about the geopolitical impact that we could see if the scientists are right in the world, it's incredible. Think of other places in the world like Bangladesh. If we saw that same 1 meter sea level rise, it would put 90% of the population of Bangladesh underwater and perhaps force them from Bangladesh into India, a country that is already very poor and not prepared to sustain its own population. So again, we are perhaps looking at very great change